Hi and welcome. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm just sat here with my tea. I'm just going to get chatting and just tell you all a little bit about sort of what my intentions are with this podcast. Basically, it's just going to be open discussion, really, open and honest discussion about experiences to do with spirituality, what sort of topics we're going to be covering in the future. It's Mental Health Week at the moment, and I think one of the first subjects that I'm going to be talking about is going to be meditation and sort of the negative aspects of meditation. I got advised by my doctor to start meditating due to having anxiety, but the doctor's never comes with a warning as to what the side effects of meditation can be. And believe me, there are some really crazy ones. And I think it's important that people are aware of that. I think that's going to be the first topic that I will discuss in my next full podcast. But this one here is just a brief sort of explanation as to what I'm doing. I'm just a normal person. I have anxiety. I'm not the most confident speaker, so if I'm not coming across very clear, I apologise. If I stumble across my words, I apologise. I'm just being normal person, just talking, sharing information that I think is important for people to know. I will be having guests on, but we're going to sort of be discussing topics such as synchronicities, the arrogance that's involved around people with spirituality. So the spiritual arrogance, basically, this whole separation and we versus them, we're better than them, we know something they don't. So that's a topic that I will be discussing later on in the podcast section. Emotional intelligence as well is going to be another topic. You know, I do feel that it's important that we become aware of our emotions. I'm going to be discussing altered states of consciousness. These will be via meditation only at natural sources. I don't personally have experience of altered states of consciousness via drugs or anything of that sort, so I couldn't possibly discuss that, although I may have guests on that do have experience with that. Other things we're going to be talking about would be sort of healing trauma, healing wounds, what your inner child is and how you can help heal your inner child, heal guilt and forgiveness of self. We'll be covering near-death experiences and what that calls spiritual awakening, and also what spiritual awakening and what it really means, what it means for the normal person. I'm going to touch on the connection between spirituality and conspiracy theories. There is a huge link there to do with that. I think once that you become aware of certain things, you certainly become aware of larger things that affect us, everyone in the world. I'm going to be covering spirituality and mental illness and the links between mental illness and spirituality. Panpsyism and unity consciousness, that's touching more on scientific theories there. I'm going to be talking about divination tools such as tarot, pendulums, etc. And also I'm going to do a series on paranormal experiences. I have a really good friend called Emily, and she is a ghost hunter. So she goes out to purposefully have these experiences, and she's had quite a few, and they're really interesting and quite funny. So she'll be coming on at some point to discuss those. I'm also going to be discussing subconscious programming. Does subconscious programming really work and how it can help us? Astral projection, travelling astral realms. But I also want to touch on other things, sort of like spiritual scams and exploitation, because there are a lot of people making money out of this. And then also I want to touch on sort of the confusion, which I probably just caused a lot of, given my list of what I'm going to discuss. But spiritual confusion, just a massive amount of different information that's out there and how confusing it can be. So there's sort of the topics that are going to be coming up. If that's sort of something that you'd be interested in, then, please listen to my podcast. I'm really interested in your experiences. So anybody that wants to send in some information to me, please do so. This could be any sort of paranormal experiences that you've had, just weird experiences that you've had with your spiritual awakenings, any sort of experiences you've had via meditation or synchronistic events or anything, any altered states of anything like that, anything that you think's weird, what makes you believe in spirituality. So you can email me at the Spirituali-Tea podcast. There's a hyphen between the I and T, and that's at outlook.com. So the Spirituali-Tea podcast at outlook.com, hyphen between the I and the T. I'm on Twitter at TT Podcast, and I'm on Instagram at the Spirituali-Tea podcast. I'm also on Facebook at the Spirituali-Tea podcast, and the Patreon, which is set up, will be the Spirituali-Tea podcast as well. So please feel free to send me in all of your stories. I love reading them. As much as I've got enough stories to share, I would love to hear other people's as well, because it makes me feel like I'm not crazy and I'm not alone in my experiences. So I'm Imogen anyway, and I'm the one that's going to be rambling on. And if you want to listen to me ramble on about other things to deal with spirituality, then please check out the Spirituali-Tea podcast and send me your info, because I'd love to listen to it.